And today we're going to talk about how to read scientific diagrams. And they're pretty important in science textbooks. A picture, you've heard a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Yes.
Okay, scientific diagrams have loads of information. They're like paragraphs.
Okay.
Okay. And there are different types of scientific diagrams. This is what we're going to talk about today. The types, how to read them and interpret them, and then how to use the information to answer science questions.
Okay.
Now, the GED science test will have diagrams with questions and maybe some text, but all the information you need is provided, and sometimes more than you need.
Okay.
Okay, here are some common types. You've got a bar graph, and in this one, we're not going to get too far into it, but it's showing water consumption in Missouri, and on the left, millions of gallons per day, and down below, it's each year.
Okay.
And you can learn a lot just looking at this picture. You can see that in 1985, the water consumption was millions of gallons, 6,000 million. So that would be, let's just say 6,000. And then by 2005, it rose up to almost 9,000.
Okay.
So just from this picture, we're learning. Okay, another kind of scientific diagram is a pie chart. Now this one, the top pie chart, so what pie charts do is you take a whole, like a whole pie, and then you divide it into slices. In this case, the top chart is how many birds were lost in North America since 1970. And they separate out, so the parts are the different species of birds. Like you see that they lost a lot of the red, which is American sparrows.
Okay.
And not very many of, let's say, the finches. Okay, so, and then down below is a smaller pie chart, and that's all the birds that were gained. So there were ducks and geese and turkeys and grouse. Okay, so that's a pie chart. This is called a process diagram, and we're going to have a practice question later for this, but the main thing you're going to see in a process diagram is lots of arrows, and they use them to describe the environment, weather, or metabolic processes like things that happen in the body.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Illustrations. You see these a lot in biology, like just a drawing of a cell. It's not actually what a cell looks like, but it's an artist's idea of a cell with lots and lots of labels.
Right.
Okay. Now, when you're looking at these diagrams, the most important thing is the label, the title.
Okay.
What are you showing? The water consumption or the cell or okay. And then you read the key or the legend. So anything else that's on there, like if they say this color represents the desert, this color represents the forest. So that's the key or the legend. And then sometimes, like in those bar graphs, there's like an X, there's a Y on an X axis.
Right.
Like you got the water on this side and the years on this. What do they stand for? So you're going to read those labels.
Okay.
And colors are not just for decoration. They're going to, if they have a legend, it's important what the different colors are. And then what does the diagram show? It's never just one fact. It's comparing facts. It's a relationship of a bunch of facts. Okay. And here's a little tip for how to read the question. Sometimes you read the question first and then look at the diagram and then interpret the diagram and answer the question. sometimes you just look at the diagram and get a sense of what it's talking about and then read the question, but you're going to go back and forth. And you
Right.
don't have to fully understand the diagram. I like to look at the question after I glance at the diagram.
Right.
So let's practice. So you don't even have to know much about this, but my first thing is what is this diagram? And there's a title on it. What does it say it is?
Diagram of an atom.
Exactly. So that's important information. And then there are a bunch of parts of the atom that are labeled.
Yes.
Neutron, nucleus.
Electron, nucleus, and protons.
Yep. And now, just based on, and the question is, based on the diagram above, which is true? Which of the following statements is true about the structure of an atom? So you're just looking at the picture and deciding what it shows. A, the nucleus is made up of neutrons and electrons. So let's go back to the diagram. What is the nucleus made up of?
Neutrons, electrons, protons, and nucleus.
Okay, what part is the nucleus in that picture? It's
Just at the center.
yes, so what's in the nucleus?
Those are protons
And?
and neutrons.
Yes, and not electrons, because you see the electrons are on the outside, right?
Right. Yes.
Okay, so the nucleus, A is not true because the electrons are on the outside. Let's see if B is true. The nucleus is made up of protons and neutrons. Look back at the diagram.
Yes, neutrons and protons.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
that's true.
okay, so B is true. So we don't even have to go on further. We found the one that was true. I mean, we could. C is protons are made up of neutrons and electrons. That's not true because protons are their own thing, right?
Right.
And then it says neutrons are made up of the nucleus and electrons. No, the nucleus contains neutrons, so that's not true. So we found it by looking at the picture. We found the answer is B.
Right.
And at the bottom of this, it says, as you see, you don't need any prior knowledge of the structure of an atom to answer this question correctly. Just by looking at the image and its labels, you can see what the right answer is.
Right.
So,
If I
okay.
could just, one thing
Yes.
that I think is a really nice visual cue, Joe, is you see how the label that says nucleus, oh, I'm sorry, could you go back to that one, Jenny? If you see the label that has nucleus, doesn't just point to the middle, it actually goes around it in a circle even. Whereas
Yes.
the other are all pointing at individual things. The nucleus surrounds the whole thing. So that's a key that's talking about that whole larger structure.
That you've
Okay.
got the black line around the middle.
Okay.
Okay, right. I didn't point that out because that's just for labeling. Yes. Okay. Thanks, Chris.
No,
Okay.
that's just one.
Yes. Because this, yes. Okay. All right. We're going to go on to another. This is going to show you that different colors are important. So let's start with, we're not going to read the question yet. We're just going to go through and what's the title? What is this map all about?
Okay. Well, risk of Lyme disease.
Yes, and the map is of the United States, the continental United States.
Right.
I'm just getting different information from the map when I look at it. And it's showing not the individual states, it's showing like regions, isn't it?
Right.
Okay. So, and let's look at the key. And what information the key is giving us. So if you wanted to know where the high risk of Lyme disease is, what color would that be?
Blue, dark blue.
Okay, dark blue, right. And
Yes.
then the moderates like aqua, and low is very light blue. And then gray is, what does the gray represent?
You agree?
And look at the key.
Let's see. Moderate, no risk.
Right. So not a lot of risk of Lyme disease.
Right.
Okay, so now we're going to use that key is important, and we understand what those colors mean. So now I'm going to read the question, and then I'll show you the map again. Which person would most benefit from Lyme disease vaccination? A woman who lives on a ranch in the Great Plains. Let's look at that. You see the Great Plains area?
Okay, yeah.
And what kind of risk level do they have?
They have a low risk area.
Right. So would she benefit from a Lyme disease vaccine as the most of any of these areas?
No.
No. Okay. So A is not correct. B, a young child who lives in a major city in New England. So
Yeah, she would
yes.
need a
Well,
Lyme shot. Yeah.
okay,
She
but
be
let's.
in the high range.
Okay. Do you know? Okay, but there's a trick to that, because major city, like Lyme disease comes from ticks in the woods. So we're going to see if there's a better fit for a vaccine, because if they're in a big city, they're probably not out in the woods much. Okay.
Okay.
But okay, how about C, a woman who lives in a wooded area of the upper Midwest?
Yeah, she would need one.
Yeah,
She'd be
the wooded
kind of a high
area.
risk. Yeah.
Yes, very good. Or here's another. A man who works on a cargo ship that departs from the southeast. Well, he's working on a cargo ship.
Okay,
Not
from the southeast. It'd be more like a low risk.
okay. So the one at most risk who could most benefit from Lyme disease was the woman who lives in a wooded
West.
area. Yes, very good, excellent. I like how you interpreted the diagram, the map, and you came up with that. Now, which is the most likely hypothesis for the investigations described in the passage? I don't know what the passage. Oh, okay. This is the Lyme disease is more common in New England than other regions. Is that true? Or
Lyme disease. Repeat that again.
is Lyme disease more common? Oh, Lyme disease is more common in New England than other regions. So there was an experiment, apparently, and I must not have copied the written part explaining this risk of Lyme disease. There must have been a hypothesis where they said, we think, you know what a hypothesis is?
Yes.
Okay. It's like we think that there's the highest incidence in New England. And we're going to set out to prove that. So let's see, that might be the hypothesis. Let's see how about Lyme disease is transmitted to humans through the bite of deer ticks? There's nothing about that in that map. That's all background information.
Right.
They're not studying that. They're studying the incidence of Lyme disease. How about people infected with Lyme disease produce more antibodies against it? I don't see anything about
no.
that. How about people who receive the vaccine are less likely to develop Lyme disease? Is that shown in this map?
No.
No, no. So it would be, they're studying where it's most common. So that would be the hypothesis, would be the Lyme disease is more common in New England than other regions.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's not, and if you look at the map, yeah, there are some other regions that have high incidence, and that's, when you have a hypothesis, then you want to prove that out. So that's what they looked at and ended up with, well, we got New England, the Midwest, and a little chunk of California.
Okay.
And that answered their they did the research and they came up with this map, starting out with a hypothesis that New England's got the most Lyme disease. Okay. All right, so that was good. We practiced with the colors and what information they gave you. Okay. Here's another diagram. And we want to know about, okay, first, in the question, it says, based on the diagram above or next to us, which of the following statements about Africa's biomes is true? So I like to look at the diagram and see what they're talking about first. And what is this map of?
Grassland,
Mm-hmm.
savanna, forest,
Mm-hmm.
extreme desert,
Uh-huh.
semi-desert.
Yep. And what's the map? What's the title of this? It's underneath those colors.
Okay, Africa presents African present day.
Yes. So, and then you've also, besides, so it's the whole continent of Africa, and you can see those colors correspond to different regions in there, and there's also rivers running through and some lakes.
Okay.
Okay. So, and those are different biomes, different climates. So let's see which one of these answers is true. Northern Africa is mostly made up of grasslands.
Northern Africa made up more of grassland. Oh, grassland is forest. No, that's not true, I don't think.
No, what's Northern Africa made up of? Going by the color.
Oh, desert like.
Yeah, extreme desert, right?
Right.
The furthest north. Okay. Let's see if B is true. Southern Africa is mostly made up of extreme desert.
Southern Africa.
So now we're down to Southern Africa.
That's semi-desert, isn't it?
Yeah, semi-desert. What else is Southern Africa all about? I see a little. Go ahead.
Grassland. Grassland.
Yep. Yes, and maybe some forest. So it's not mostly made up of extreme desert. It's got a little bit of extreme desert. So B is not true. How about C? Semi-deserts are usually bordered by grasslands. Okay, so semi-desert.
That seems like it is bordered by grassland.
It sure does. I'm looking at the semi-desert sort of in the north, the northern part of Africa, and the south. Yeah. Okay, and let's make sure that D isn't true. Extreme deserts are usually bordered by forests.
Extreme desert. No, that's not true.
No. So you found the right one. C. Semi-deserts are usually bordered by grasslands.
Okay.
Again, good job on the key.
Thank you.
Okay. This is a lot. This is a lot coming at you. There's a few more
Yes.
practices, and then you will have learned this lesson. Okay, ready?
Ready?
All right. Now this one, sorry. Based on this diagram, which of the following statements is true about a plant's cell structure? And again, you don't need to be an expert on the cell. They're giving you all kinds of labels. So we're just going to we're going to go back and forth between the diagram and the questions. And
Okay.
and it's it's a little bit blurry, so I'm going to read you the first question, and then I'm going to try to expand this. So the first, see if this one's true. The outer layer of the cell is also called the nuclear envelope. So let's see. Okay, so we have to find where the nuclear envelope is of all those different labels, and I'll give you a tip. It's down, the label is in the right-hand corner. It says nucleus. That's got the nuclear envelope.
Okay.
You see that? Okay, so
Now,
so
the bottom part of this diagram I can't see.
Oh, okay. I must have.
Okay,
How about now?
pull it back up. You had it, but it went back down.
Oh, now?
Now, yes, I can see it more
Okay.
better there.
Okay, let me see if I can, and I can expand it. I don't know if that's any better.
Yes, that's better than what it was. On here, it's
Okay,
just so
good.
hard for me. It's so hard for me to see. That's why I'm leaning over, trying to
Yeah,
the words.
it's got a little. So the orange part is the nucleus, and it's got a
Yes.
nuclear envelope. Okay, so
Okay, I see the nuclear envelope now.
okay, yeah. So they want to know. I'm going to shrink it again. The outer layer of the cell is also called the nuclear envelope. Well, no, because that's not the outer layer, is it? That's inside the cell. Okay.
Right.
The nucleus is inside the nucleolus. So is the nucleus inside the nucleolus? We're going to look at this for a minute. Look at the lower right-hand labels again and what the
Okay.
nucleus contains.
The nucleus contain the nucleus envelope and the nucleus pole. What that is? Paul.
Yeah, I don't know what that is either, and a nucleolus. So the nucleus is the large thing, and it contains those things. So B, I'm going to scroll over here. B is not true. The nucleus is inside the nucleolus. No, the nucleolus is inside the nucleus. Okay. The next one, mitochondrion and small membrane vesicles serve the same purpose. So we have to look for mitochondrion and small membrane vesicles.
Okay.
Okay, and I found mitochondrion. They're on the left. They're those squiggly light green things,
Right.
or yellow. Okay, and then small membranous vesicles. They're tiny yellow dots, and you can see them. The label is in the upper right-hand corner. So they want to know if those are the same things. I mean, they don't look the same, do they?
No, they don't.
So I would say you can't say that they're the same. Okay, D, the cell wall surrounds the entire cell.
That's true.
Find the cell wall. Okay, yay, we found the right one. Okay, so D was the right answer. And you see how we didn't have to be a cell expert?
Right.
You just had to find and understand this picture. Excellent. Okay. Now this one, they're suggesting there's a lot of information, but the question only required you to know a few pieces of it.
Right.
And by reading the question, you can narrow down your search rather than trying to read and learn the entire diagram. So we didn't even bother with all those 20 or 30 labels. We
Right.
just used them as we needed them. Okay. All right, ready for this one?
Yeah.
Okay, so here we have one of those process diagrams with arrows. And what's the name of this diagram? Look for the label on it.
Okay, I'm
It's up
thinking
at the top of it.
what that carbon cycle?
Yes. Yep. So, and we pay attention to arrows in these types of diagrams. So you see there's some gray arrows, big gray arrows around the whole ecosystem. You
Yes.
also pay attention to what is in the picture that you see. What's this a picture of?
Mm,
Like what's the blue and what's the purple and the green generally?
that blue, I guess the blue is water.
Yep.
And the gray up there, the hill like is mountain area, I guess.
Yes. Uh-huh. And then you've got some other terrain. You have a forest and you've got a factory over in the and
Right.
cars. Mm-hmm. And you've got some farming going on under the purple part. And there's a
Okay.
fire between the you can kind of see some cows or something. And there's a fire between the cows and those trees.
Okay. I
And
see that.
there's some, yeah, and there's some labels. And it all has to do with carbon. We know that because of the label of the whole graph. And you see it says atmosphere at the top. Like all the things in blue, in black are important. Atmosphere 750, fossil fuels and cement production 4,000, vegetation 610. Those numbers are how much carbon they're producing.
Okay.
Surface ocean and how much they contain. So now the questions will help you understand this carbon cycle, which is a funny thing, but we're going to
Okay.
try it. Okay, so they want to know what's true about the carbon cycle. And you may have some knowledge yourself of like how carbon and trees work and how our cars work. Like cars, what do they typically do? Do they release carbon or do they take in? Do they
They
suck
release
up carbon? Okay,
They
good. And
release
trees?
carbon. And
Yes,
trees pull in carbon.
they do.
And
Yes.
it,
Okay. So that'll make it easier for you to answer this. And factories?
factories, they mostly put out carbon dioxide.
Excellent. Yep. Okay. So and there's also fossil fuels and cement production absorb carbon. Well, you know from your own knowledge, you just told me they release it. And you can also, if you didn't know that, you could see that little purple arrow, and it's pointing up to the atmosphere. That signifies that it's releasing, it's putting carbon into the atmosphere. So it's not absorbing it, right?
Right.
So A is false. B, soil contains no carbon. Well, there's soils. You see that brown part off to the left? It's like
Yes.
a wedge, and it says soils, and it shows some arrows, and which direction are the arrows going?
The arrows are going up.
Right. So that signifies what's happening with the carbon.
Carbon is going up.
Yep,
It's
so it's
releasing.
going
It's
from,
releasing.
yes, so it's going from the soil. So B, is that true or false? Soil
That's false.
contains
That's
no
false.
carbon. Okay, excellent. All right, C, trees absorb carbon from the atmosphere.
Yes, they do.
Yes. And which arrow or which section shows you that? Which purple arrow shows you that the trees are absorbing carbon? Like I'm looking, oh, go ahead.
Almost to the top there. that the arrows are small. Where it say
Yeah, the
arrow-
one, it's actually, look at the pine trees,
Okay.
and that arrow is going down to the
Arrow
pine
going
trees.
down.
Yep.
Yeah,
So trees are absorbing carbon from the atmosphere.
right.
So that's true. And let's just read D, even though we found the true one. When a fire burns, it absorbs carbon from the atmosphere. Well, I'm going to expand this a little bit so you can see the fire. It's between the word soils and vegetation. You see that little fire next to the
Yeah,
animals?
I see it. I see it.
Okay. And what area, what direction is the arrow going in?
The arrows is going up, though. It's releasing carbon dioxide in the
Yes.
atmosphere.
Yes. So fires are not sucking up, they're not absorbing carbon dioxide, is it? Are they?
No.
So D
No.
is false. Okay. Excellent. So that was you have to pay attention to the arrows if it's a brand new concept, and it helped that you had some background knowledge. Okay. And one last one, the bar graph. This might be
Okay.
a little bit of a break from thinking so hard. Okay, so what is this bar graph showing us?
The amount of sugar in certain foods.
Yes. Okay, and with bar graphs, you want to look at what they're showing on one side. Oh, there we go. So what's happening on the vertical axis? What are they showing us?
The percentage of sugar.
Yes. And what about on the horizontal axis?
Okay, I can't see that part.
How about now?
No, I still can't see it.
Huh. Do you want me to make it? I'll make it a little bigger.
No, that's making it even worse. That's making it even worse.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
The bigger it get, the less I see.
Okay. Let's give it. Oh. How about? It might not come to your computer yet. So what part you can't see? Like the.
I can't see the x-axis at all.
Okay. Um, is it too blurry, or it's just not showing up on your screen?
It's clear, but just that I can't see the bottom part of it. It's really clear.
Oh.
I can see the 8.8, 9.2,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
11.
Well, how about this? I will just read to you what. It's all different foods. The first one's ketchup, and then peanut butter, chocolate.
Okay.
If I can jump in real quick, Joe, on the side of on the right side
Oh.
of your screen, right next to the video, do you have like a plus and minus?
Yes, I do.
Try hitting the
Oh.
minus and see if that helps.
Okay, I got it.
Does
Okay.
that help?
Good.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. So you see the different foods.
Yes, ketchup, peanut butter, chocolate bar, ice cream, chocolate cake, soda, and crackers.
Yes. Okay. So we're mostly going to. We're just going to go right over to the questions and use the graph to answer them.
Okay.
So what's the title of this bar graph? You already answered that one. The amount of sugar in certain foods. What is the range of values on the vertical scale?
35.
Okay, so you'd say 0 to 35, and
Right,
it's
yes, 0 to
percent.
35.
Okay, and how many categories are in the graph?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yes. Which food has the highest percentage of sugar?
Chocolate bar.
Yep. Which food has the lowest percentage of sugar?
The peanut butter. No, not the peanut butter, the ketchup.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What percentage of sugar is in soda?
What percentage sugar in soda? 28.9.
Yes. Okay, and then this one, what is the difference in percentage of sugar between ice cream and crackers?
Ice cream,
And
what percentage, ice
and
cream?
yeah, you can just tell me how you would do it. You don't need to calculate it.
Okay, I would, deduct the 11.8 from that 21.4.
Exactly. So I'm just going to do it on my calculator. And that's 9.6. Okay, so you answered all those questions, and this just gives you the answers. I just wanted to have this screen for people to refer to check their answers. Okay, excellent. And I'm just going to review what we learned today. So you read the labels and legends and keys carefully, and then any text they give you.
Okay.
And then you read the question. You know how we went back and forth. You read the
Right.
question, look at the diagram again. Remember to follow the arrows in a process diagram. And always look at the vertical and the horizontal axes and what they represent.
Okay.
And you'll be given all the information you need to answer the question, and sometimes more than you need.
Okay.
All right. Good lesson. Thanks for joining.